Hi, this is Phoenix Genesis for PhoenixGenesis.com and our two YouTube channels, Phoenix Genesis and Frag Camp. And we had a terrible tragedy in Paris. So many people didn't need to lose their lives and did. And I want to talk about how all of us are in a way responsible on a daily basis for these kind of tragedies, not just the tragedies in Paris, but tragedies even before we were born, and future tragedies and violence in the world and hatred. And it's not enough to just go on your Facebook and Twitter and put, oh, rest in peace and my condolences, and just then move on to, oh, what's going on? What am I have up for lunch? Let's go play more Call of Duty. Let's go play more Minecraft. Let's see what my Twitter or my Facebook, what are my tweets? What are my Facebook feed? Oh, what am I going to go buy myself at the mall today, or shopping online? Until the next tragedy hits, we need to each take personal responsibility and examine our actions. And I know a lot of people aren't going to want to hear this, and but it needs to be said. And I'm going to have we talk about courage, and I'm going to have the courage to talk about this and how we each carry the eternal flame of the world, and how we're all linked to the world, and we need to effectuate change. And this is not scripted. I'm not paid by anybody to say this, so it's raw, it's honest, but it really needs to be said. And think about your daily, and this is where we go with thinking and thought right here. Think about the things you watch, the things you do, and the things you say on a daily basis. In the last year, have you ever called anyone a faggot? Have you ever called anyone a nigger? Have you ever called anyone a beaner or a tranny, or look at that old like hag, or I don't know, look at that pushmuck, or that was stupid, you're dumb, you're how many, or did you yell and cry and whine to your parents because they didn't buy you some toy you wanted, or did you like bitch and moan at your boyfriend who's like, or your husband who's overworked trying to provide for you, or or were you like, did you call your girlfriend or your wife a bitch, or think of the things that come out of your mouth, or if none of those things came out of your mouth, did you actually hear someone like maybe bully someone at school and you didn't open your mouth and speak out? Or what about even the girl in Carolina that the campus police beat up violently just because she was texting rudely in class? I mean, imagine if one student had the courage to stand up in that classroom and say this is wrong, or the teacher who called the cops on her and let them do that and stood there and didn't say anything. If he had spoken out and said this is wrong, I mean, where are the Rosa Parks of the world? Where are the Martin Luther Kings of the world? Where are the Gandhis, the Mother Teresa's, the Jesus, and I'm Jewish, I can still say Jesus. I mean, where are the people that stand up and take a stand against any type of violence on a day-to-day basis? That's something that's very important, because if you're silent, if you don't, as we go to the next word here, if we don't have a courage to speak up against things that are wrong, and people that are wrong, and even little tiny petty grievances and bullies on our day-to-day basis, I mean, how can we be outraged when violence builds to a point where it leads to people's deaths? I mean, it starts with thought, and it starts with, like I said, what we say and how we act. And that's another thing. If we don't read and we aren't educated, we allow other people to put thoughts in our head. And what can happen is, if we're a blank slate, a tabula rasa, and we, just play violent video games, expose ourselves. And I'm nothing against violent video games. I obviously play Call of Duty. I love Call of Duty. But what I'm saying is, if that's all we do, if we don't disconnect from our cell phones, and we don't disconnect from our violent media, and God, every show I'm watching now is terribly violent. If we don't disconnect from this, and we don't go back and start reaching out and connecting with our humanity, and we don't start to think and love and be peaceful within ourselves, then how do we expect our world to be peaceful if we don't start to do things and help the people and help the environment, and just small acts of kindness on a daily basis, and we're so self-centered and self-serving and self-absorbed? Of course we're going to be restless, irritable, and discontent. We're not going to be happy, joyous, and free. So we need to disconnect. We need to start reading, educating ourselves, putting thoughts in our head. I mean, these kind of gunmen, these kind of people that strap bombs themselves, they're blank slates. They don't think, they don't read, they don't educate. And any petty tyrant or dictator, it doesn't matter. We can blame one religious group or one political organization or one, crazy religious, cult leader or whatever it is. But, it's not that. It's just one person comes along that has a very persuasive speech, and they can put thoughts into people's heads. Look what Hitler did to a whole nation. He deceived the German people so that they would, kill the Jews. Let's put them in concentration camps. Let's kill them. Let's take all their possessions away. Let's hate them. And, if you're educated and you read and you are a person that thinks, you can tell the difference between right and wrong. You can tell the difference between hatred and love. And intelligent people are more likely to love. Educated people are more likely to have peace within themselves. And they're more likely, hopefully, to have courage, and this all comes from thought. So, and I tried to make a big heart here, and I tried to have courage of something that looks flimsy, but you could still stand on it. And I had a pyramid as kind of a foundation of education. And this is kind of my dove with wings spread for peace. And, I tried to do something creative here. And what I ask everybody to do, I'm not going to play any violent video games. I'm not going to watch any violent television. I'm going to take a day off and do things that are positive and constructive, and we'll have a hiatus right now. And I want each of you to do that. Like pick a day this week, and don't watch and encourage any type of violence. Don't say anything violent. If you hear any violence, speak out against it. Just one day, if we all do this, one day of our vast life, that we just take the time, you talk about, it's such a tragedy, let's light a candle for the victims in Paris, and that's great. But you know what? Also take the day and go to your grandparents' or your parents' grave and bring flowers for them, light a candle, send money to the firefighters who lost their lives in 9/11 when we had that horrible tragedy in our own country. Or I don't know, do something constructive and positive to make a difference. Don't just sensationalize. And I'm very embarrassed for a lot of the mainstream media that's putting fear-mongering into our heads, oh my God, it's going to happen. Let's go and violate more of our citizens' rights, to have more scrutiny on everybody because everybody's a potential terrorist, and this is going to happen, and be afraid, and they're coming to get you. This generic, entity is coming to get you, and we need to let's sensationalize and talk about how it was a bloodbath, and how many times they shot, and the bombs, and look at the people running around with guns. And let's not be part of that. Turn your phones off and spend time with your pets, spend time with your parents, spend time with your grandparents, spend time with your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, children, grandchildren. If you don't even have any immediate family, with your neighbors, or go to a nursing home, or go to a hospital where children have cancer, or go work with a foundation, or just go sit at the beach and pick up litter at the beach. But let's turn off all the violent images and the violence that we experience on our daily life, and let's just reflect on it, and let's have thought, and let's figure out how we're going to change our world. Because if we don't change it honestly, and we don't each keep ourselves in check with these basic tenets, things are not going to change, and we're just going to be in a world of ever perpetual violence, hatred, segregation, poverty, ignorance. And I think it's just time for all of us to make a change. And that's all I have to say. So anyway, again, I feel very sorry for what happened yesterday to the people of Paris and for all the atrocities that we've had in the world. And, hopefully, each of us can make a difference. So once again, this is Phoenix Genesis signing out.